So you want to be OP? Well, I am here to help. So this time we are playing Final Fantasy X, and this is the HD Remaster. So a little bit first on what I guess I mean by being OP. So later on in the game, there's basically, your characters will, have really good stats, and that's after you've kind of filled up your sphere grid with, the potential nodes, I guess, that can go in here. But I wanted to do this guide in reference to more like the earlier stages of the game, because, while, yes, if your character, let's just say if Titus knows every last skill in the game and has, 255 for his stats, that's pretty overpowered, but for this guide, I didn't want to, I guess, think about being OP in those terms. What I think is more interesting is kind of what we can do early game in order to be overpowered for the rest of the game, right? The normal course of the game, sure, eventually you'll be able to, max out your stats and all that stuff, but I think that there's some things that you can do earlier in the game to kind of make yourself, or at least to very, or set yourself up really well for the rest of the game. So, anyways, again, as far as where we're at, so chronologically speaking, this is right as I've arrived at Guadosalam. Actually, I guess I should say I did all the events there. And I think it's important to knock that stuff out, because that is where we finally get our final party member, which is Riku. And then on top of that, you'll actually be able to customize your equipment. And so at that point, what we can do here is, if you recognize this area, this is right before the Jose Temple, and off to the right-hand side there is the Jose Temple, and then the left-hand path leads up to the Moonflow. And basically, I get Riku, do the stuff in Guadosalam, and then I come back here. So I backtrack a little bit, and I'm going to show you why. And that is because, so once we've got Riku, we'll be able to steal now. Technically, I was able to steal with Kimahri as well, and I mean, I guess a little bit prior to getting Riku, but if you go a different route with Kimahri, that's not really going to be an option, right? He's not going to be able to steal things, and so you'll have to rely on Riku. I don't necessarily recommend doing that. I think that Kimahri is one of his best routes, I guess, is to go the thief route, just because I think Kimahri's kind of junk, and yeah, I prefer to go this route. So, anyways, all right, this is what we're looking for here. We're looking for the Basilisk enemies, and what we can do here is steal from them to get these Petrify grenades. That's gonna add a couple of things to our equipment. So let me just steal one more here, and then we'll get out. Actually, let's grab a couple more. The way stealing works, by the way, is the first time you steal, you've got a 100% chance to steal the item, and then the second attempt at stealing, you've only got a 50%, and basically your percentages of getting items keeps dropping by half every time you successfully steal. So you very quickly you'll understand that you don't want to keep trying to steal, because your chances, to steal an item are going to be so low that it's just not worthwhile. But anyway, so what we can do at this point is customize our gear. So here we've got, this is just a Baroque sword. This is a sword that I got from one of the other enemies that I'm going to show here. But what you can do is add things like Stone Touch or Stone Strike. So Stone Touch sometimes adds petrification to attacks and skills. This only takes 10 of those Petrify grenades, whereas Stone Strike, this almost always adds your petrification to your attacks and skills. Unfortunately, though, that takes 60 Petrify grenades, so that should give you at least some idea of how long it'll take to get, well, I guess to get that ability, right? 60 Petrify grenades is a bit much. So So yeah, so that's that'll take a little bit of time, but I think it's worth it. So the next thing that I'm going to show you here is one of the enemies that I farm a lot, and that's this guy right here, the Ochu. The Ochu has something like 7,200 health, but when you've got weapons that can turn them to stone, the 7,200 HP doesn't really mean a whole lot. So that is actually one of the things that I actually consider pretty OP, is actually just being able to one-shot enemies with just boatloads of health like that, and being able to do that with the stone touch, or I'm sorry, stone strike ability. Also, the Ochus have a equipment drop rate of 50%, which is pretty awesome. Oops, I just healed that guy. I just healed the Ochu. Titus has the Brotherhood equipped right now, and it actually is the upgraded Brotherhood, which means that it's got Water Strike, and Ochus absorb water, so I shouldn't really be using that. I'll have to swap that out here. But hopefully here we can get a piece of equipment to drop. There it is. So just like that, we got another piece of gear. The Echo Bangle is that's not that great, but let's just take a look here. So Echo Bangle right there. So we got it was Silence Ward. That's actually kind of cool for casters, right? They can't really do much if they're silenced, so that's not a bad ability. Also, one of the great things about this specific area is this is where the enemies start dropping equipment that has 3 potential slots. Now, this one only ended up with 2, right? And it's random. But this is one of the best ones here, the Lucid Bangle. This is actually an item that I did get to drop from one of these Ochus. So the other great thing about the Ochu, and why I think it's worthwhile to farm, is, I mean, for one thing, it's got the best equipment drop rate up until this point. Other than, I mean, if you're considering the bosses, but I really don't. But yeah, 50% drop rate, and then again, it has up to 3 slots. And then as far as the abilities that come on this gear, it's really good as well. So for the weapons, let's just take a look here at Waka. So one of the weapons that I got to drop from an Ochu was this switch hitter. It has the base is strength plus 5%, which is pretty good for this point in the game. And then again, on top of that, you've got the 2 open slots, so you can add, like Stone Strike if you wanted to, which is what I did with this one. Although, so the Stone Cold here, that was another weapon that came from the Ochu. It only originally had Poison Touch on it, but I added Stone Strike. It's questionable if I should have gone that way, because Poison Touch isn't that great. But I think I just wanted to get that, get Stone Strike on something for him. But yeah, so the Ochu again has so basically what can happen here is it can drop weapons that have Poison Touch, again like that, like this one here, and then also it can drop the weapons that have 5% strength, and that's for basically all of the male characters. It gets a little bit different for Lulu and Yuna, sorry. For Lulu here's another one that was just started out with Poison Touch. The other thing, though, that the Ochu can drop is weapons, or at least I should say the ones for Lulu here with the Rune Mog, is it'll give you magic plus 5%. So, it wouldn't do us that much good to have a weapon that had 5% strength, right, for Lulu. So, that's why the Rune Mog is pretty good. Also, again, Yuna has the same kind of aspect to her where she'll oftentimes get weapons that have the magic plus 5%. This one's a really, really good weapon. So, it was a 3-slot magic 5% and then 2 free slots. Now, that's, and I guess, here, let's take a look at Orin. And so Orin's weapons all have piercing on them. And so the Spider's Kiss, for instance, is one that's going to drop from the Ochu. It's always going to have piercing, but also sometimes it'll have the Poison Touch on it as well. Otherwise, it'll be the Shimmering Blade, where it has, the piercing and then the plus 5% strength. That goes for Kimari as well. Kimari is basically, his weapons are handled the same way as Orin's. Yeah, that's not one of them, but this is. So, Rock Buster was actually a weapon that had piercing and poison strike on it originally, and then I added stone strike. And then here's his other one that you can get here, which is the piercing and then 5% strength. Now, that's weapons. So let's talk armor. I think that the Lucid Shield, the Lucid armor, is the best thing that can drop from the Ochu. Unfortunately, though, the Ochu can drop armor that has Dark, Silence, Sleep, Poison, Stone, Confuse, and Berserk Ward. So the chances that you're going to get the Lucid versions of this armor is not good. But it is, in my opinion, the best. Because we don't really have a way to add Confuse Ward or Confuse Proof yet. And we're not going to be able to do that for a very long time. And so, in my opinion, the Lucid armor is the best thing that you can get from the Ochu. Unfortunately, though, again, it's very, very difficult to get this stuff to drop. Here's another example. So this is Sleep Ward. Serum Shield is the Poison Ward, and then Soft is Stone Ward. So again, all 4 of these shields and more can technically drop from the Ochu. Again, I think that Confuse Ward is the best. That's going to be very important. In my opinion, Confuse is actually the most dangerous of all of the status effects in the game, because it can turn your characters essentially against each other. And, you know, if you've got things like, Stone Strike equipped, well, then you could get yourself into a lot of trouble. You know, if you're attacking each other and turning each other to stone, that's a problem. So, again, I think that, the Lucid stuff is the best stuff that you can get here from the Ochu. But if you can't get that to drop, that's not the end of the world. So what's the next thing I would consider being kind of overpowered is adding evade and counter to your weapons. In order to actually add this to your weapons, you need to have teleport spheres, and it only takes 1 of them. And so basically, what that's going to do is it's going to make it so that anytime an enemy uses a physical attack against you, there's a chance that you will evade it completely. And not only that, but you'll also counter it as well. And so again, if you throw that ability on like a weapon that's got Stone Strike, for instance, you can avoid the attack, counter attack, and turn the enemy to stone all in one. So it's actually pretty overpowered if you can get yourself some weapons like that. But how do you get them? Excuse me. So how do you get those teleport spheres, right? Well, you have to play Blitzball. Here's an example of a league where the teleport sphere is the reward. Now, the teleport sphere shows up only 10% of the time for leagues, and the cool thing though about this is before you start a league, or after you've won a league, I guess it kind of ends up being the same thing, but after you've won and you've done the 10th round of a league, basically what you want to do is you want to just save, and then you go in and play Blitzball one more time, and then take a look at your league prizes. And if you've got the teleport sphere, or that works for other rewards, I guess as well, but what I'm talking about here is the teleport sphere specifically. But if you don't get it, then you just do a soft reset, and then reload your game and interact with the save sphere again, and go to hit play Blitzball, and that will re-roll a new set of league rewards. And so you just repeat that until you get the teleport sphere, if that's what you want. One of the other great things though is not even just adding the teleport sphere to your weapons to give yourself evade and counter. One of the other great things that you can do is just use them here in the sphere grid. So let's just take Titus for example here. I'm pretty deep. I'm almost actually already done with his initial trip through the sphere grid. Here's Quick Hit, and that's one of the best abilities in the game. But anyway, so let's show you how to do this. So a teleport sphere says it can allow you to move to any node activated by an ally. So let's just say that I wanted to learn, I don't know, steel is probably a decent one. Well, there's armor break for Orin. Let me just find steel here. This is, okay, Kimari's right here. Meaning steel is right there. So what I can do is I can teleport over to this sphere where Titus is at, or sorry, where I guess technically Kimari has been at. Riku's obviously activated this node as well, but what we can do then is use that ability sphere and boom, teach him steel. Now let's just say that you know, you don't want to stay here. Well, then you can use the return sphere. I wouldn't use another teleport sphere. What you can do though is use this return sphere. So it says return to any previously activated node, meaning he can zip right back to the spot where he was at before. And if you noticed here, so let's go back out. If you noticed here for this this league set, I actually have the teleport sphere and the return sphere for if I win this league and I'm the top scorer, I'll get both. And so I'll be able to do the same thing with, I guess, somebody else, right? I could teleport Waka over into Titus's grid, learn quick hit, for example, and then return him back to wherever he came from. So that's that might not seem like a big deal, but being able to use, for instance, quick hit with, you know, Riku and Waka are my favorite characters to kind of use or do this method with. Because I like to use those too, but it ends up, you know, being pretty crazy, and it's kind of one of the ways to get around some of these locks that, you know, because we're going to be locked out from the other characters' grids for a little while, and so using teleport spheres to get into other characters' grids is a great way to kind of handle that. So I think that is about it. That's gonna, you know, that's gonna get you almost immune to confusion. This is only ward, right? There's confused proof as well, which is better, but we just can't get that, and we're not gonna be able to get that for quite a while. But I really do think that this is probably, for one thing, the most optimal area to not only farm, but, you know, get yourself powered up for a long time. The other great thing about that Ochu is they drop, it's something like 500 gil per kill. And, you know, if you're going to be, you know, playing Blitzball like I did quite a bit, you're going to need a lot of money in order to keep hiring your Blitzball players. And so that's my take on kind of how to be overpowered in Final Fantasy X. Again, this is really just for early game. You know, we're only... I guess, I don't know, what are we, maybe 10 hours into the game or something like that? I don't know, maybe not that much. I'm at 178 hours, which is, you know, absurd, but that's what happens when you leave your game on overnight constantly. So, anyways, that's, again, that's my take on kind of how to be overpowered. This, you know, if you farm up enough gear and stuff, this will take you, you know, probably through the majority of the game. You know, until you can get into the end game, like 4 slot, you know, weapons and armor, and then I mean, also, you know, the celestial weapons. So anyways, that is going to be it for this one. As always, I hope the guide was helpful, and hope you join me for more videos. Thanks for watching.